Good morning again on a most beautiful Friday afternoon tonight, everyone. So let's see. The clouds, however, are basically currently around. So I've been checking the Weather Channel. And it turns out, however, this full moon out here will be around, like, say, around at 9 a.m. and plus even around, like, say, possibly maybe around the morning later on. It's going to be, like, say, be sunny outside. And plus, starting around, like, say, possibly maybe around at 9 p.m. and at 1 p.m., this full moon will eventually be appearing. So the good news is it's not going to be snowing, especially around the Friday weekend. And I'm like, yay, that's awesome. Okay, so let's see. Everything's definitely going fine. Oops, my bad. All right, let me try and zoom in. All right, let's see here. Yeah, like I said, the clouds, however, are currently just rolling around out here, though. Man, this full moon out here is really a beautiful sight to behold. If only these clouds, however, would just simply clear out of the way. I can clearly see it from a distance, but I really wish the weather itself wasn't so cloudy outside. I mean, the weather. Oops, okay, let me just focus. All right, that should be, okay, let's see. So that should be just like that. Because right now I'm just currently, let me see, because right now what I'm just busy just doing is that, well, let's see, because I know I'm already, because let's see, because I'm already uploading part 1 on this full moon, of course, on my YouTube channel. And I'm also, like, say, well, currently doing this part 2 on this video recording tonight, on this Friday morning. So, here on February 2nd, no, not February 2nd, but February 22nd, February 22nd, 2019. I'm sorry though. I kind of had the date wrong though. It's really the 22nd, not the 2nd, because that's just way past that. But like I said, but speaking of Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, that was actually, let's see, which I just had mentioned, on part 1. Let me see, because as Diamond Dog's mother base, the GMP, the money, for example, was actually running low for the very first time since I was, like, say, adding in, like, say, weapons development, for the helicopter, Pequod. Pequod, however, is really just a pilot, but I was actually adding some, like, say, development project that I just kind of spent money on, when I was playing as this character, Venom Snake. And so I kind of went to this episode. So I began replaying on this episode, Hellbound, managed to rescue Dr. Huey Emmerich, Hal Otacon, who is also, like, say, well, the father of Hal Otacon Emmerich in the Metal Gear Solid series. Rescuing him, of course, from Metal Gear Solid Lampirthus on that episode, Hellbound. And just hiding from Metal Gear, however, was just amazing, really. I love that episode. But what's really cool is that I actually, like, say, managed to, like, say, managed to pilot the Walker gear. And then I had to, like, say, using a wormhole Fulton extraction on it, though. Still, but even still, that's a really cool game, though. Alright, so let's see. So the skies are basically, are clear for now at the moment. Alright, let me see. Let me just focus on it. Because let me see, I have an idea. And speaking of live streaming games, let me see. I'm thinking about, like, say, well, picking up where I left off on. I mean, as soon as after I'm finished, as soon as after I finally beat the game on Stealth ATF for the very first time on the Nostalgia NES Emulator Pro, I'm thinking of. Let me see. I'm actually thinking about playing, like, say, well, let me see. I'm actually thinking of replaying Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3. Perhaps, like, say, well, playing Miss Pac-Man. Let's see. Shadowgate. The Guardian Legend, and possibly maybe some other games, though, before I get to, like, say, well, live streaming Smash Hit on Mayhem mode, as well as, like, say, playing as well as playing Mega Man 04, picking up where I left off. But like I said, I'll think of something, though, when I actually get a chance. So it's a good thing I managed. So let's see. So it's a good thing I checked the Weather Channel on my phone just before I got to, like, say, well, tonight, just before I got to, like, say, well, resuming here on, doing this video recording on this full moon here on part 2. And voila, here it is. I mean the moon itself. But anyways, enough said. So anyways, let me try and, like, say, focus on this moon out here, though, because I know the weather out here is, cold. Plus, the skies tonight, above. Plus, the skies, out here is, like, say, cloudy. Just not that much, but. Let's see, let me zoom on out, check and see. Oops, hold on. All right, there it is right here. All right, back to this full moon out here. Let me see. Is that a... Hold on. I'm just looking at... Let me see. Because right now, I'm just busy, like, say what? Currently observing this full moon out here. Here on the right side. I'm looking outside and speaking about the star, you know. I thought there weren't that many, but all I can clearly just observe is just, you know, just one star here on the left. Here, let me quickly... Let's see. Can I be able... Let's see. I know I can clearly see it with my own two eyes, but I just can't see it, of course, you know. Even on my phone's camera. Okay. It's there. I can clearly see it, but just not on my phone's camera. And even if I were to use my tablet, it'd be like the same thing, unless, of course, I'm using, like, say, well, you know, night mode, just by taking a photo of it. All right, so let's see. So I had to switch, you know. I had to switch my left hand using my right hand. Oh yeah, and speaking of, let me see, and speaking of Google, there was something else. But before I got to, like, say, well, you know, doing, like, say, you know, a part 1 video recording of this full moon. No, both, as in part 1 and now part 2, here on this full moon. Actually, I wanted to say, you know, a happy late birthday to, I wanted to say, you know, let me see, happy birthday, of course, to the late crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin. I hope I got his last name right, though. You know, and, you know, plus I'm really sorry to hear about what happened to him, you know, the day that, the whole Stingray incident. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but, you know, I just wanted, like, basically just, you know, just wanted to say I'm just really sorry to hear about what happened to him. Because I remember I used to watch him, you know, watch a show. Since, like, well, ever since way back in 2002, since I was like, what, ever since I was 17 years old, though. Yeah, but even still, like I said, but, you know, Steve, like I said, but you know, but Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, he was always the best. Okay, so let's see. So clouds are basically rolling in, but I can clearly see. Okay, but let's see. But I can definitely observe this full moon out here. So I'm like, what's going on around here, though? Why are these clouds are just currently around? And speaking about that speckle of a star out here, only just one on the left, it's also gone too. Probably might be, I'd say possibly covered up by these clouds, so. Okay, here's the moon itself, so it's just, you know, suddenly just reappeared. See, because the way as I see it, this weather out here is like, say, you know, currently cloudy tonight, so it's not exact. So the skies, however, aren't, you know, aren't completely clear. Not like how the Weather Channel itself says, but, you know. Okay, okay, there's that speckle of a star, so it's just reappeared again. So I see it, of course, on the left side direction. And now it's not there. I mean, what's going on here? Darn clouds. So I hear the sounds of a train, even way out there. All right, there you are. All right, hold up. Let me switch this. Oops, hold up. All right, let me switch my right hand to my left. All right, hold up. Let me see. Let me see. Let me wait until this this full moon, however, is fully clear to see. All right, so the video itself was a little bit blurry, so I managed to, like, say, well, I had to, see, because I had to, like, say, well, you know, use a touch screen, trying to make it clearer, though. Okay, now I can clearly see. And I can clearly see this full moon out here. Oh well. Oh well. Oh man, those clouds, however, are just currently rolling in. Man. Alright, let me just wait for this, let me see. Let me just wait for this full moon out here to fully be clear, though, for me to see. And, okay, let's see. Let me try to use a touchstone. Use a... Okay. Okay, now I can clearly see it. Alright, there it is. Let me zoom in. Alright, there you are. Alright, there you are. Okay, full moon, just make sure you stay that way, because I hate to see you basically be covered up by these clouds again. I know, the clouds are basically like, say, well, covering up these night skies, of course, and I can clearly see, like, say, well, the star here is basically reappearing. Okay, let me just try to focus on it, though. Alright, now I can see it much more clearly. Let's just hope it stays that way. Let me see, because as soon as right after I'm finished, doing this video recording on part 2, I'm going to try to see if I'm going to, like, say, well, upload that on my YouTube channel. And then after that, that'll be it. Okay, now I can clearly see this full moon out here. Now that's much more better. Yeah, like I say, she's a real beauty, though. I mean, this full moon out here, she's really beautiful, though. Isn't she? And I can also tell these clouds are once again rolling in. can't believe these darn clouds are just rolling by like this. I mean, like, what in the world's going on here? All right, hold on. Let me zoom on out. Unbelievable. Oh, my bad. Okay. All right, there it is. I just really wish there weren't any of these clouds, especially around these skies tonight, because I really hate it when they be like, say, interfering. I mean, not interfering, but I would say they always be getting in the way, just to correct all of that. All right, that should be exactly just where it should be. Much better. Oh, yeah. So yeah, let me see. Because speaking of Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, speaking about the highly skilled soldiers I actually extracted, I was actually like say, well, let me see. I was actually like say, well, playing as Venom Snake traveling to Afghanistan. So I brought Dee, aka Diamond Dog, with me. So he actually like say, so like I say, this wolf, however, that I found, that I found and extracted. Had managed, like, say, well, managed to detect, landmines, directional mines, to be more precise, so I took care of those. So I'm just basically, like, say, and this was really, like, say, on side ops mission that I was basically just playing on since yesterday around the afternoon. Yesterday, Thursday afternoon. All right, let me switch from my left hand to my right. Because, yeah, like I said, I can feel my left hand and my finger is basically getting cold. Since I'm almost finished, like, say, well, since I'm almost done on this video recording on part 2, on this full moon. Yeah, but like I said, even though I can see this full moon out here, clouds are just, passing by. Everything out, like I said, but right now, everything out here, on this Friday morning is, peace and quiet. And speaking about the Monster Energy girls, like say, well, visiting Detroit, I think it might be like say, well, I don't know, possibly I'd say maybe around the weekend or something. But let me see. I'm not so sure though. I'll have to check the schedule though for it. Okay, cool. I can clearly see this full moon out here. Awesome. Yeah. Alright, so stay tuned, everyone. I will be back. Oh, yeah.